Will rent controls kill buy-to-let in the UK? This is another topical issue you might have heard quite a bit about these days. It's in the news. London, Scotland, Manchester Council are all debating controls. Landlords are worried about profitability. Tenants are watching for affordability. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I share my journey as a buy-to-let landlord with a focus on passive property investment. Today's topic is a hot one: rent controls. The big question is, if rent controls spread across the UK, will they kill buy-to-let? Let's break down what rent controls are, where they're being discussed, what the data says about rent and yields, and what it could mean for us as landlords. The simple definition of rent controls are that they are caps on how much rent can rise, annually, per tenancy, or as set by a council. For example, Scotland introduced a temporary rent cap, 3% per year in 2023. The London Mayor has pushed for powers to cap rents. The aim is to protect tenants from rapid increases, but the problem is that it reduces incentives for landlords to invest or to maintain properties. UK rents are currently at record highs. Average UK rent in September 25 was about £1,300 a month, according to the Office of National Statistics. The annual growth can be 7% in some regions, but this has been shown to be slowing. There's a demand versus supply imbalance. The NRLA survey shows the majority of landlords seeing more tenants than properties. The gross rental yields in Q2 of 2025, the UK average is 7%, but up to 9% in Wales and in the northwest, which is very good. In terms of how rent controls can impact landlords, these can make their yields shrink. You can't raise rent in line with costs, mortgages, repairs, compliance. Landlords exit the market and fewer rentals are available. This has been evidenced in Scotland after rent caps. Landlords reduced new listings and tenant competition increased. Long-term rent controls protect some tenants but create shortages overall. So will rent controls kill buy-to-let in the UK? They probably won't kill it completely, but they will squeeze margins. Professional landlords who run efficient businesses may survive. Casual investors will likely leave. For me, the key is to buy in strong demand areas, keep costs lean, and always factor in the risk that rent rises might be capped. So rent controls are risky, but they do not signify the end of buy-to-let. They can potentially change the game though. Rent controls could mean a cap per year, a freeze for a period of time, or local councils setting rent bans. For example, in Scotland there was a temporary rent cap in 2023. Rents could only rise by 3% per year for existing tenants. In London, the Mayor has called for rent caps but hasn't got the power yet. Other cities like Manchester and Bristol are pushing for similar measures. The intention is simple: it's to protect tenants from runaway rent increases. But the problem is it reduces the incentive for landlords to invest and can even lead to less supply in the market. Right now, rents are at record highs. According to the Office of National Statistics, the average UK rent in September 2025 was around £1,300 a month, and that's up by about 7% compared to last year. And in some areas like London, the northwest and Wales, rents are rising even faster because demand massively outweighs supply. The National Residential Landlords Association surveyed landlords this year, and the majority said they're seeing more tenants than properties available. Now yields are also strong. Fleet Mortgage's rental barometer shows that in Q2 of 2025, the average UK gross yield was just over 7%, but in some regions like Wales and the northwest, yields are hitting 8.5 to 9%, which is very strong. So on the surface, the rents are high, yields are decent, but there is an issue. The costs are also high. Mortgages, insurance, compliance, these things are all rising. And if the government caps rents, the landlords won't be able to keep up. Firstly, in regards to margins being squeezed, if you can only raise the rent by 3%, your mortgage goes up by 6%, you're losing money in real terms. Secondly, there's reduced supply. In Scotland, after the cap came in, a lot of landlords sold up. That meant fewer properties available, which made it harder for tenants to find homes. Thirdly, there's lower investment. If new investors don't see the numbers working, they won't buy. That means fewer new rentals, which again pushes up demand. So ironically, rent controls can actually make the rental crisis worse. Now, of course, for tenants already in place, it offers stability. They know their rent won't suddenly jump by 20%. But what about the overall market? It can create shortages and distortions. So will rent controls overall kill buy-to-let? Maybe it won't kill the market completely, but they'll make it a lot more difficult. Casual landlords, the ones with one property, no buffer and high leverage, these people will probably leave the market. Professional landlords who treat this like a business, run efficient systems and buy in strong demand areas will survive. The reality is rent controls are one more layer of pressure. On top of higher interest rates, more regulation, more tax. It means margins have been made yet again smaller and mistakes are more expensive. But does that mean buy-to-let is dead? No, it doesn't, because people still need homes, demand is there, and in many regions yields are still attractive. For me, the key is to buy in areas with strong demand, stress test your numbers, you can't raise the rent that much, keep reserves for rising costs and don't over leverage. If you do that, you can still make buy-to-let work even with rent controls. So overall, rent controls can make things more risky. As mentioned, it is another layer of pressure and may make things more difficult for landlords, but it is probably not the end of buy-to-let. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please like the video and subscribe if you want more honest takes on passive property investment. See you next time.